So, hi everyone, we're here to talk about a fantastic project called Fishing for Schools. And I made a Facebook post recently on this very subject, and it was extremely popular. So I've got together an august panel of people to tell us all about Fishing for Schools and to answer some of your questions. So I've got Charles Jardine, who's one of the founders of Fishing for Schools, fishing mum Zenia Drury-Gregorek, and the head of marketing for Shakespeare Europe, probably the world and the universe, Dave McCartney. So welcome everyone. Let's just kick off with you, CJ, because I think, can you just tell us very quickly what Fishing for Schools is all about?
It's really, Matt, just something that meets the needs of teachers and young people in a wide spectrum. Now, when I say a wide spectrum, that can be mental health, it can be autism, it can be all sorts of things. But the important thing is to use education as a way of getting the young people involved in fishing and vice versa. Because as the comments were made on your wonderful site, well, we can take, parents can take their kids fishing. Well, yes, they can. So what we do is we actually go in, and many of the young people don't have parents. That's, it's a stark reality of what we do and where we work. They might be single parents, they might not have any parents at all. But so what we try to do is offer them the salve and the beauty and the wonder of fishing that we all know, combined with possibly the only thing that they'll ever gain from their time at whatever facility they're in, whether it's a school, whether it's a PRU, a pupil referral unit, or whatever it happens to be. But we make sure that we follow the CAST awards, so they get a certificate there, go on to perhaps a BTEC, maybe even go on to secondary education and go to a college. So we offer a conduit really from angling, or our involvement through angling, onto a pathway into education. And that was always the idea, always the idea.
Perfect. I mean, I had no choice but to go fishing. My dad fished, my uncle fished, both my grandparents fished, but that's not always the case these days. So we've got to provide a gateway for young people of all backgrounds, doesn't matter where they're from and what their other interests are, that they can get into fishing. Zenia, you are a fishing parent. You're a mum with two fishing crazy kids. So for you, have you seen the benefits of taking them fishing?
Oh, 100%, Matt. The benefits for kids is just simply endless. You've got to remember, obviously, kids have been through a tough time through this pandemic, but even before this, the worries of school, and they need an escapism like we do. And fishing gives them that escapism. And I find it's very, very good, not only for the kids' mental health, but also behavioural issues. I literally take my kids down there for a couple of hours. And if you had two kids, if I put my kids on the computer for 2 hours and I took them fishing for 2 hours, if I then compared my kids from fishing to being on a computer, they are different kids. The kids that are on computers, they have attitude, they answer back to us, they're not willing to help. The kids that are fishing have got a spring in their step. It's like we've given them jelly and ice cream without the E numbers. So it's so important that we give kids that haven't got the chance to go fishing a chance, because it's great for them. It gets them outside. It gives them natural vitamin D without giving them a capsule and shoving it in their mouth. So this, what Fishing for Schools is doing is something that's close to all our hearts.
Well said. Now, of course, the reality of modern life is that ambitious projects like this require infrastructure and funding. They don't just happen by themselves. And I'm delighted because I'm a lifelong user of Shakespeare fishing tackle. The first tackle I used when I was a kid, the first serious rod that I bought was a Shakespeare rod. And Dave, as a representative for Shakespeare, can you tell me about why you got involved in this?
Yeah, well, it's really simple, Matt, actually. When I seen the project, I think you'd actually highlighted on your social media pages. And when I seen the project, I thought, that is perfect for us as a business. Shakespeare is the grassroots brand. I think within the fishing industry, everybody knows the brand as possibly their their first item of tackle as a Shakespeare rod. You know, the comments that we've seen on your Facebook channel, and you know, we do read them, is very much that. And you know, I've been in this industry for 7 years now, Matt, and it's not a long time. It's not like how long you've been in the industry. And there's been a lot of hot air around, yes, we're supporting participation initiatives and we're supporting this body and that body, and nobody's really doing anything really tangible about it. So when I seen this opportunity, I thought, you know, it's perfect. It's scalable. It's a growing charity, and it's something that we want to be part of as a brand. So, you know, we're actually putting our money where our mouth is, and actually doing something about participation and helping out with a very good initiative, which Fishing for Schools is.
Well, as you know, I'm very proud that Shakespeare is endorsing this project, having trumpeted it for many a moon. CJ, we've had quite a few people commenting on the scope of this thing, particularly people commenting from Ireland, people from Scotland. Can you tell us a little bit about the geographical coverage? And if you're interested in getting involved in the project, how do you go about it?
Well, let's do the geographic thing first, and let's look at the reality of the situation. Because we're working in education, we can only really work within England and Wales, because Scotland is a different educational process, and I think Northern Ireland is too. Now, that is not to say all those wonderful people that got in contact with us, we can't do something for them. And the thing is, and this is the beauty of Fishing for Schools, and with its involvement with Shakespeare, it's added another layer to an already rich cake. And that is, without the E numbers, Zenia, and that is really that it's scalable. And that's the beautiful thing. We've got the model now. There's nothing to say that we can't address why we, you know, can't at the moment work in Scotland or indeed Northern Ireland. And who's to say that we can't work in Norway? Who's to say we can't work in New Zealand or in America or wherever? Because once you've got the model, which we have, it's just a question of sizing it up to meet the demands on a geographic scale. So yes, we can. And getting in touch with it is really simple. I mean, if you just pop in Fishing for Schools, you'll get either our website or Facebook page. Just send us a message, or I'm on Facebook, as the same you are. Just send me a message and I'll respond. You know, like you, I read that stuff, you know, and you've got to, you actually, at one point, you owe it to the people who've spent time to send a note to you, to give them the courtesy of responding to that person. And I see that as a very important thing that we do.
Before I jump to Zenia again, let me just bring Dave back in here, because there is something wider going on alongside Fishing for Schools. And that is, if you like, Shakespeare are once again picking up the mantle of being the people's champion in terms of fishing. Dave, can you tell us a bit about what's happening at Shakespeare? Because this endorsement of Fishing for Schools, it's not just limited to the Fishing for Schools project. There's other things.
Yeah, there is other things going on. You're right. I think, first of all, the products that we're coming out is going to support initiatives like this. We're coming out with very simple to use products. We've heard back from many consumers and talking to other bodies within the industry that it's a minefield out there. If you're a parent trying to buy a setup for your child to go fishing for the first time, lots of people are buying the wrong product. They don't know how to set it up, things like that. So first of all, we're getting the product right, which is very simple, easy to use kits that are very self-explanatory. We have a video involved for all of these kits that allows the person to set it up and go fishing for the first time. So that's the first thing. The other thing that we're doing is we've set up something called the Shakespeare Fishing Fund. So each month, that's going to be launched soon. So each month we will be inviting people to come forward with their project or their initiative or their charity, and we will choose 3 that we think are righteous in terms of that we can support them, and then we'll put that to the public vote via our social media channels. So whoever gets the most votes wins £1,000 of Shakespeare fishing tackle for their project or charity or initiative. So we'll be doing that each month, and that's an ongoing thing for forever, as long as probably I'm in the job or get fired or whatever it might be. But we're going to commit to doing that each month. And there are some other things that we've got bubbling away in the background, which we will be announcing soon. But, you know, watch this space in terms of, you know, Shakespeare is back as a brand and back where it should be. And it's going to continue to do so.
I'm very excited about this, Dave, because it's a huge commitment. I want people to know at home that people like Dave McCartney get bombarded with requests for fishing tackle every day of the week. And you can't give everyone the stuff, otherwise the company would go bankrupt and there wouldn't be any more Shakespeare. But this is a great mechanism. So I hope you'll support the brand for this initiative. And talking to which, Zenia, as an extension of that, I know we're slightly going off subject, but you and I are involved with something where we're looking for young stars, aren't we? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's fantastic. So Shakespeare Search for a Star is all covered in this month's Improve Your Course Fishing. And it's basically celebrating all anglers of all ages, of any species, of any size, just to celebrate all those people that love fishing. And we want them to come and join the Shakespeare Super Team. And what will happen is we'll narrow it down. There'll be 2 chosen winners of any age, from 0 up to 100. And then they will be supported over 12 months to improve your course fishing in features, articles, and also some amazing Super Team Shakespeare products. So it's a very exciting competition. So check out Improve Your Course Fishing. Check out Matt Hayes' page and check out Zenia's Fishing Adventures, and you will see even more info to become a star.
Now, another thing, as you know, probably it's best to ask you, CJ, because one of the comments, as you know, that does come up when you talk about fishing for schools is there is a cost, isn't there, to actually putting someone through a course. And I believe is it 270 quid or something like that?
It is.
But can you just tell us why you have to raise that funding?
Yeah, it's really simple. One, you can't just rock up to a school, to a fishery and take a bunch of kids fishing. It's not even going to fly, because there are risk assessments to do, there are fishery costs to do, there's bait involved, there's a whole raft of things even before you get a child on the bank or a young person on the bank. So there are all those. And then there is the other thing that when I started this, I made it abundantly clear that what we would do is to make sure that our coaches were paid. So we had professionals. Now, it's lovely to think that we're going to get a whole group of people, the rising stars that you're going to help nurture. And they'll be able to take young people fishing if they're there. They're youngsters, they're, you know, from their own family. But you've got such a thing nowadays as DBS checks and all the rest of it. So you can't just take somebody fishing. As lovely and as cozy as that is, and Matt, we talked about this endlessly, how we were mentored by the older generation when we came into course fishing. Well, we can't do that anymore. And that's the greatest sadness, I think, in our sport. However, that is where the cost comes in. It's the involvement. And don't forget, our coaches have to go through further courses. They go, you know, to make sure that everything is up to speed. And they're educationally strong. So there are extra courses on top of that. There's a cost implication right the way along the line there. And that's why they cost something. And, you know, at the end of the day, the teachers in a class that they're going to go into are being paid. You know, the people that run our fishing tackle companies are being paid. But by doing that, there is a responsibility to do a job. With a volunteer, as wonderful as they are, and we do have volunteers, there's still, you cannot make, not necessarily the same demands, but there's not the same degree of perhaps responsibility that you have if you're a licensed coach and you're being paid to do a specific role. So well, that's where the cost comes in.
Great answer. Dave, can I just finally ask you, I know that a number of people from Northern Ireland particularly, and Scotland, were talking about getting help from Shakespeare. You've described the fact that there's going to be this charity and cause-based thing every month where you're going to pick winners. Is it open to people in Northern Ireland, Scotland, all over the UK?
Yes, absolutely. I think you know, Shakespeare's biggest market outside of the US is the UK and Ireland. So our friends across the sea there in both the North and the Republic of Ireland are our friends that open Scotland as well. This is open to everybody in the UK and Ireland. So you know, please think about, you know, your project, your initiative, your club, your charity. Put together a case to us. We will be launching it very soon via our own social media channels. So have a look at Shakespeare Facebook, and on Instagram it will be Shakespeare Fishing EU. And obviously it's going to be on your page, Matt, if you can help us out and direct people to that. So they should apply directly on there via Messenger or something like that. Our team will pick it up internally, and then we'll put it to the vote. And hopefully, you know, your followers, Matt, will get involved in this. And yeah, we're very much looking forward to servicing all areas of the UK and Ireland.
Well, I think it's very exciting. Remember, everyone, the project is called Fishing for Schools. You'll find them on Facebook. And my advice to you is to subscribe and follow the page, because there are things happening all the time. You will get opportunities to help out. And of course, everything needs funding. If you're interested in nominating a school, if you want to get involved potentially in the coaching, or you've got any question, then you can reach out to either Charles Jardine, Zenia Drury-Gregorek, or even myself. And remember that Shakespeare's fishing page, the one that you're interested in, is the European one. That's Shakespeare/EU. So that's very important too. I'd like to thank everybody who's come along for this chat today. I think we've hit most of the high notes. Who knows? If we get lots more questions, we might even do this again. Tight lines.